Hey everyone, and welcome to Pals Chat. I am your host, Gina Parker. Sadie Teel and I spent about an hour talking about Happy Endings, the TV show, and so we have put that at the end of the episode, and I will be doing the recap alone just for time. So I want to start off by making the correction that last week we were talking about June 13th. I kept calling it June 3rd. It was June 13th we were talking about, and there was also segments where Greg, Jenny, and Jesse and Angie all got together and were hanging out. It was very intense and they weren't happy, but they were at least all hanging out together. So, June 14, 1983, Opal plans to run for city council against Langley. Jenny and Tad go to New York to go modeling as a brother sister team, which we all know about, I guess. And Enid asks Liza to look after Greg, but then she's scandalized when she finds out Liza is dating Tad Martin. Next, we have June 15th, 1983. Opal tries to get support for her city council bid, which leads to Phoebe being also scandalized in a hilarious way. And the way Palmer and Daisy laugh at her is also kind of funny. It's a long clip, but a good one.
You know, you two are cut out of exactly the same cloth. And don't say I didn't warn you. If by some chance your candidate should be elected, you will find yourself living under the black flag of anarchy. A dismal project for our beloved Pine Valley. Good day, traitors!
Bye, Phoebe.
Amanda fights for Greg's rights because she's got feelings for him. Greg begins physical therapy, but he wants it to go real fast. He wants to be back on his feet, which is understandable, honestly. Palmer and Lars fight over a horse, which is a long and ongoing plot. Angie tries to make things right with Jesse, but he is not having it, and Angie is clearly pregnant but doesn't know. As for Erica Fest, Erica won the Gabby Award and announced her retirement from modeling, and Lars yelled that he fired her in the middle of the ceremony. And Mark, who is all on coke, started a fist fight with him. Erica and Mark celebrated into the night with Mark continuing to do more and more drugs. He ended up going home to Ellen, also while on drugs. Erica helped Tad and Jenny get their start modeling. Lars told Erica that she signed away rights to her name. They decided to market the products as Erica Kane rather than just Erica. Does he not have rights to her whole name? Okay. And Palmer tells her she really has to focus to make it doing a cosmetics company when she might still want to model a little bit. Okay. That's it for this week. Please like, subscribe, comment where you think the brooch storyline is going, and buy our merch. Our link will be in the show notes. Thanks. Well, bye. I just wanted to talk about the bombshell reveal that you're a Slytherin.
Oh my god! I mean, that was a bombshell to me, too. I did not expect that.
And what's interesting is I took the Pottermore thing a while back. I'm a Hufflepuff.
Are you really? Did you think you were a Hufflepuff from the start?
No.
See,
I was disappointed, too.
that sucks. Yeah, I did not know I was a Slytherin. I'm fully embracing the Slytherin lifestyle, though. Are you doing the same with Hufflepuff?
Sure.
Sure.
Like,
has Lady taken it?
not that I know of. And it's better not to know. We don't want to know how we lean.
She's a Slytherin like me. I'm predicting it. We're cut from the same cloth.
I think you're excelling towards greatness, not necessarily evil.
One and the same. I mean, can you be great in this world in the modern age without being evil? I don't know.
It's one to think on.
Yeah. We're discussing happy endings again, and this time, instead of just the 2 episodes, we're going to go through the 4 next episodes. I forget the titles. I have notes here with no titles next to them. Do you know the titles?
I do. All right, so the first episode we'll be talking about is Barefoot Peddler, which is named after the fictional band that's featured within the episode.
Yes.
Basically, the gang has been hanging out separately with Dave and Alex because Dave and Alex still have a little bit of tension between them, but they decide to all go to a concert together, try to get back to normal.
Well, okay, and I do sympathize with the friend group here, but they don't try to do anything. They're like, let's just tell them we're both sick. It's, it's fine. We'll make up these crazy excuses and they won't go if they don't have us to go with them. And they decide to go together instead.
Well, and they both decide to go,
yes,
I think.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation like that with a friend where it's like, ooh, those two broke up. I like both of them. Because I have, and it's not fun. It's very awkward and awful. And usually you end up losing one friend. But luckily, that didn't happen this episode.
Yeah, I've not been in that situation.
It sucks. When you're like friends with one person and then you're friends with the other person they're dating. Ugh, awful. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Again, I want to talk about the order in which these were aired because when you look at Hulu, the very next episode after the pilot is one we'll discuss later, which is Quicksand Girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought in my head, like, that's so jarring that he would go straight from being abandoned at the altar to going on a date and jumping into something big with this random woman. The way that it's intended to be aired makes so much more sense to me. First episode, he's left at the altar. Second episode, he's moving out.
And that's a good point. Like, he moves out in the second episode. If that comes after a lot of other stuff happened, it's like, is he bringing his girlfriend to their shared apartment?
Yeah, what the hell? I guess I would assume that maybe she moved out because it seems more centered on him, the story, than her.
But then you find out later that it was him who moved out because he just moved in with Max. But we'll get to it.
Mm-hmm. So they like made that promise of like, it's all good. We'll still hang out. We'll still be friends. And we can see that isn't quite working out how they had planned. And they tend to, when they're hanging out, jump into some huge relationship issue in front of everyone and make it awkward. So the friend group is just trying to navigate that in this episode. And meanwhile, Casey Wilson's character, I have not gotten Penny, of course, Penny, because that's her whole thing this episode. But she is like had this special moment with the fiddle player, is that right? Of the Barefoot Peddler band, and she's like obsessing over it and like, oh, it was so great and blah blah blah. So she is definitely going to this concert.
Oh, and I think like the band is supposed to be like a little indie, like popular in college type band, not like a huge band. Right?
See, I was thinking of like it was like Fish or like Grateful Dead, some like jam band.
Yeah,
and that's just based on the way Penny was dressed and kind of the name of it, like some hippie whatever band.
So yeah, she wants to be remembered by Tommy is the guy's name. And so that's her thing. Brad and Jane just want to have fun and avoid Alex and Dave's like awkwardness. The way it goes through the episode is basically a mutual friend of Alex and Dave's, I guess, like sees them together, and it's very awkward to have to explain that they're still hanging out even after what they went through.
Is that the character that's played by John Daly? He has like the super popped collar and like
yeah.
See, I noticed, a couple of people that I'm huge fans of were in this episode as guest stars. So Ian Roberts, one of the founding members of the UCB, was in this episode as the security guard that tases everyone. And I thought that was a really fun role to see him in. And John Daly, who's just hilarious, like one of the best, being that frat guy, was awesome.
Yeah, there's more coming up, more good cameos.
Good.
Basically, Alex jumps on the stage to apologize to Dave publicly for what she did to him. She gets tased. Dave tries to stand up for her, also gets tased. And so they're
the fact that they can still stand up for each other, and in the face of being tased, they decide that bonds them closer together.
Yes, and they have a new viral video now. But one thing I want to mention is, like, they talked about their viral wedding video, and then they showed clips of it being, like, remixed, and it's like the sitcom style, 4 different cameras, different, like, shots, close-ups and stuff, and totally, like, this is what was in the episode. It's not like a wedding video. So that, like, stuck out to me. Like, they did not have 3 or 4 cameras at their wedding. It did not look like it did on the sitcom where it's shooting between the two. So,
oh, that was an interesting thing. If you were at a wedding that went, like, off the rails train wreck like theirs did, what would you do? Would you record it? Would you live tweet it? Would you
I would not, because I feel like that would be so painful. But I know somebody else would, and I would enjoy the video. Like, I wouldn't be the one to do it, but I would be like, yeah, I was there, and I would laugh about it and think it was great.
Yeah, that's a good way to go.
Yeah. I can't have the blood on my hand, but I will enjoy it looking at it, I guess.
You're a good Slytherin.
I'm a good Slytherin. I'm just slightly evil.
Also in this episode, Penny wants to be remembered by that guy. He pretends not to remember her. Or
Who
maybe
is
he
that
genuinely
guy?
doesn't.
I feel like I've seen him before. Is he like a stand-up comedian? The guy who played that fiddle player?
I don't really know.
You don't know? Okay, because I recognized him so hard, and I'm like, it's not John Mulaney. It's not... I have to think about it, because I really think that's a stand-up comedian who played the fiddle player.
Then Max stands up for her, and, you know, he tries to get a bunch of autographs, but he also stands up for her to the band, and it's like, hey, she was important to you. I know it, even though I've made fun of her for it. And so you need to be nice to my friend. And
this is the first time we get a glimpse of Max and Penny's bond, I feel like. Because, you know, he kind of has this, like, sort of scoffing attitude towards her and, like, whatever, Penny, you're ridiculous. And this is the first time we really see him stand up for her, and you see that friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And we also see some cute married moments between Brad and, I'm so close, Jane, where she gets super wasted, and he's a very attentive husband and wants nothing to do with the drama that's going on with the other two.
Oh, and they said at one point Brad was like the only black guy who went to a Barefoot Peddlers concert. And he said, I was like Rosa Parks except for something that didn't matter at all.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Although sometimes I feel like, man, this is a really white show. And it comes up with the 4th episode that we watch where the Hispanic, I guess I'm jumping ahead, but if you've watched this, whatever. The Hispanic assistant who's like, you're a racist, when she's really just a bad assistant. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. When she's like stealing money and like then just railing on her boss for being a racist. It's like, that seems like a very white perspective to me.
Yeah.
Like, I would guess the writer's room of the show is pretty white, but that's just the SJW and me popping out. So I'll keep that under wraps.
All right. Well, who's your favorite character of this episode, the Barefoot Peddlers episode?
My favorite character, it's always Brad. Like, it's always Brad. Every episode, because I love Damon Wayans Jr. so much. I think he's hilarious. I guess of this episode,
I give it to Max for being such a good friend.
Yeah, he's a good friend. I think I just love the actor Damon Wayans Jr. so much that, like, he's my favorite every time. But you're right. VIP for the episode, it's got to be Max, played by Adam Pally, for what he did for Penny.
All right, so next episode is Dave of the Dead. The gang has a conversation at the beginning of the episode of who would survive, like, the zombie apocalypse, right?
Yes, who do you think would survive between us two?
You.
Oh my gosh! I don't know about that, but I appreciate your support. Of the 4 of us, the pals, the other people that are not on this episode, I think our writer friend Adele Young would probably survive.
Oh, 100%.
100%. But we won't talk about our friend.
Yeah, the other 2. It actually put us, at the bottom.
Yeah, definitely I would be after Patty for sure. And probably Lady, because she seems a little ruthless,
And she used to be like
Taekwondo, like, champion. Yeah.
Black belt.
Oh, yeah. So we
Like,
would
what are we
dive.
doing?
You know what? I'd probably kill myself, honestly, before any sort of hardships. That would be fine.
That's valid.
But yeah, so let's talk about this episode. There was one note I wanted to make about this because, like, they made an offhand comment about how Affleck and Garner had it figured out, and now they're divorced. I just thought that was really funny. I was like, huh? I guess back in the day they seemed like this wholesome married couple next door type of relationship, but...
And I had that down for one of two really dated jokes, which was also, I think Brad said he voted for Hillary and he was embarrassed. And that's because back then he would vote for Hillary instead of Obama.
Yes.
Like, that was the joke.
Yeah.
And
now you would
like...
not be embarrassed. Yeah. It would not be shameful to have voted for Hillary in 2016. But I definitely understand the joke in the context in which it was, like, made.
Okay, so as a result of the zombie apocalypse conversation, first of all, Max and Jane compete to see who really would survive in a zombie apocalypse by doing a bunch of tests of, like, ruthlessness and the ability not to move and all this stuff, and Jane comes out on top.
Of course. Like, who saw that coming? Everyone. Because Jane is insane.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like her character more the more I've seen of her. The second episode, Bow Fight, kind of put me in a weird place with Jane. I was like, man, she's too much. But this episode, I liked her.
And I think the fourth episode also that we watched for this podcast episode also shows one of her better qualities. But we'll get there.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
So Dave quit his job as a result of the zombie comment, which is a vast overreaction.
Yeah, that is insane.
But it sticks. So he decides he's going to open up a restaurant called Pangea, which has food from all over the world. Whatever.
Gordon Ramsay would be upset at that large menu. Every single Kitchen Nightmares, it's like, you got to go simple. 5 menu items, like, completely cut out everything. So that's what I was thinking of when he was presenting that book of a menu.
Though I'd admit I'd still go.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Just to see it.
I mean, it would probably be amazing, honestly. But
yeah.
Whether or not he could pull it off is the question.
He opens up like a steak food truck, and he does it with the engagement ring that he got for Alex. She gives it to him. And, well, there's a couple of things here, which is that I feel, and we can talk about this watching the rest of the series, that Alex is usually, like, the moral center of the show. Like, she's the one who talks to Dave about his restaurant when everyone else is too scared to. And I feel like even though she was, like, the one who left him at the altar at the beginning of the series, she does emerge as, like, the moral center, the one who's trying to be like, guys, don't be dicks.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, honestly, she's not my favorite character. I think maybe her comedic timing isn't as good as the rest of the actors. And
I will say, her character changes so much through this series more than anyone else. And so you can see if you like the way she ends up going. I think season 2, she really starts to change quite a bit.
Nice. Well, and I do like that we see more of her redeeming qualities in this episode than we have in, like, the past 2 episodes. It's still, you know, in the past 2 episodes, it's still she left him at the altar and embarrassed him. And, you know, she does do a couple good things in the second episode, but we see more that she has, like, a really good heart and really cares about this guy, even though she left him, you know.
To help him pay for the food truck, she gives him back the engagement ring so that he can sell it and, you know, get money for his food truck. But rules of polite society, the one who leaves the engagement has to hand over the engagement ring.
Like, right away. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not supposed to keep the ring if you're the one who left. Never.
Yes, that's good etiquette notes for any listeners who might be thinking of leaving their fiancés. Give the ring back. Come on.
For our one listener.
One listener. It's probably me, honestly. I re-listen to our episodes, so. Good. Oh, thank you very much. You know, like, we have another fan. His name's David, and we invited him to be on the show. So that's a special note for anyone who's a fan. If you're a fan, we'll probably invite you on an episode. If you just, like, reach out to us, we'll be like, hey, just come on.
Yep, that's how we get all our fans. They'll just be on every episode. A new person every week. We'll have 10,000 listeners.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's like some real grassroots right there.
It's a slow build. We'll get there. Yeah. I think it's Max who has this quote. I can't remember. I think it was either Max or Brad, where they were basically talking about how Dave quit his job over the zombie conversation, and they're like, this all started with just talking about who would survive the zombie apocalypse, and one of them said, can you imagine what would happen if we ever had a real conversation?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I do like, one thing I want to say is I like the directing for the zombie sequence of him being at work. I thought that was really good. I thought that was like a pretty unique thing in the episode.
Yeah, that was a good thing to try. And the other plot of the episode is Penny dates a hipster.
Yes, this is a big plot. Like, this very anti-hipster episode.
Okay. Hipster, for or against?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I've met people who I would consider hipsters if I saw them on the street, and they're actually really cool. So I haven't met the type of hipster that they portray, or I haven't at least engaged in like a friendship with the type of hipster they portray, which is very like, ooh, I don't get enthusiastic about anything. Like, whatever, I'm so over it. I have not encountered that type of person, but then again, I don't live in a city, so maybe that's more like apparent in New York or Los Angeles or whatever. What about you?
Yeah, I feel kind of the same way you did. Like, I don't want to like judge anyone. I've never had a bad experience. I think the thing is, like, if you're exclusionary, like this hipster was, then yeah, who wants to be around someone who's like, you suck?
Yeah, absolutely.
Know? Favorite character of the episode, I had it between Penny and Jane. Jane for winning the zombie competition. And Penny for standing up for herself and dancing out of a room.
I like Penny in this episode a lot because enthusiasm, I will say, you know, as being someone who's not cool, enthusiasm is often like, whatever, like, oh, you're such a nerd, whatever, for being enthusiastic. And I like that she embraced it and showed how cool it can be. So Penny is my number one for this episode.
First of all, I'll say I think you're very cool.
Oh my God, stop it. You're the coolest.
But yeah, I think you're right about enthusiasm. You know, there's a lot of times where I'll be talking about something I'm interested in, and then like 5 minutes in, I'll be like apologizing for going on about something. And I saw someone write like, how many people, you know, are made to feel bad about the things they're excited about, that they have to apologize for being excited about something that, you know, is their interest, you know. And so I think that's a great point.
Yeah, well, thank you for the praise. But yeah, I find that a lot where I've never been able to be aloof about things. Like, oh, whatever. And it does, maybe not even in the hipster culture, but in like the greater culture, just being too excited just makes you a target for ridicule. So I liked that Penny kind of stood up to that and was like, yeah, I like this song unironically, and I'm going to dance my way out of here. And their outfits were awesome. I would totally hang out with them if I were in that party. It's a good show. Here's the thing I will say. So do you have anything else for that episode?
No, I'm done with that episode.
Okay, so the next episode is Quicksand Girlfriend. I wasn't a huge fan of this episode. I feel like they played on some tropes pretty hard in this episode that I was like, oh, does that age real well? Where it was like this stereotypical gay guy and like
Derek.
Yes. And like getting the humor from that where I was like, I don't know. I wasn't like laughing out loud, like having a great time watching this episode. And I think of like the comedies that I love and place on it a big pedestal, like IT Crowd and 30 Rock and all these things that I just find insanely funny. And this show has not hit that level yet. But I'm aware that it might get there. It just feels a little more generic.
Yeah. And that was a fear I had going in, suggesting it. And actually, circling back to your other podcast, or one of your other podcasts, you mentioned that you were watching The Good Place.
Yes.
I was like, oh, we probably should have done a podcast about that instead.
I love that show. It's very good.
It's such a good show.
Yeah.
I love it. Season 2 is amazing.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I think we're caught up as far as Hulu is concerned. Like, we're on the most recent episode that's on Hulu, which I don't know how much of a delay there is there. But yeah.
Can you tell me what was like
the last thing we saw was that see, I'm always getting stuck on actor names, but Ted Danson came and talked to Maya Rudolph, and they figured out like, we're gonna see what they would do in the real world. With the knowledge they've taken from The Good Place. So that's what we're watching right now. The last episode I saw was Kristen Bell's character going through the real world and trying to keep her moral standing without knowing that there's a reward or a punishment in the end. So is that the most recent episode?
Not only is that the most recent episode, that was the season 2 finale. So you're all caught up.
Shit! That was the finale?
Yep.
I was expecting there to be another episode of that.
Nope.
No! Oh my gosh. Anyway, spoilers for The Good Place. I guess it's kind of last minute. Anyway, but that's a really good show.
It is. And they just like they burned through so much plot in season 2. I felt like the whole season was going to be like them like trying to figure out who they were and work their way back to each other again, like after the way the season 1 finale ended. And then it ended up like, no, they're like teamed up with Michael, the Ted Danson character, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. And
yeah, it's great. And that's a way to like have a very unique show in a way that I'm not sure Happy Endings is. So did you want to say anything about Quicksand Girlfriend? I did want to talk about the 4th episode for sure, but I didn't really have very many notes for this one.
Well, we'll get into the episode rundown first. Dave gets a girlfriend by accident somehow.
Yeah.
And I do like the reveal at the end that she was like, I was just being nice. I didn't want to be your girlfriend either. It was just like, you were always calling me and stuff.
Yes, I do like that.
Alex tries to get a roommate, and this is another episode where Jane's behavior isn't considered a completely good thing, but I think she has proven right again in a little bit. In that, basically she keeps trying to choose roommates for Alex, and Alex has a good point, which is that Jane is choosing roommates that Jane would be incompatible with, not Alex. But Jane has a point that you need to run a credit check, actually look into people before you let them into your home. Because what ends up happening is Alex picks her own roommate, and her roommate puts her on a fetish website.
What a situation. That sucks. But yeah, I mean, I did like that she didn't end up being right in the end, that it was Jane who was like correct. What I was afraid of happening is like, oh yeah, I choose my roommate and it's perfect and it's exactly right, and I didn't need to do any of this stuff, which I like that there wasn't a redeeming moment for Alex in this moment, I like that Jane was right here, because it's true, you gotta vet your people.
But I think it's also true, you need to find someone you are compatible with. You also have to do your due diligence. I mean, you've had roommates. I haven't really.
Oh, God, don't ever. If you can help it, don't ever have roommates. Unless you, like, really know that person, like, in and out.
I don't have an opinion on that.
Ooh, Alexa just chimed in. I'm sorry about that. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did. She chimed in to say she didn't have an opinion, which is a waste of a chime in.
What did she even think I was saying? She's always chiming in at the most random moments. Really, the NSA is listening to me right now, so hopefully you're not saying anything incriminating.
We'll see. Okay, and so the other plot, which you kind of talked about already, one of the things the show was heralded for at the time was that Max was not a stereotypical gay guy, like, say, on Will and Grace, you know. He's just like a dude bro who happens to be gay. Penny wants a real gay best friend, quote unquote.
Quote unquote.
And so Max hooks her up with a flamboyant friend named Derek, who has appeared on shows like Dr. Ken and I'm Dying Up Here. Penny hangs out with him for a while and decides that's not really what she wants. She'd rather just keep her old friends. But I will say Derek is a recurring character.
Oh,
and
my.
Continues to hang out with this friend group.
So
and,
he's not gone yet.
Yeah, and he's given more stuff to do, and it's treated more like one of their friends they could call on, you know, type thing. Which I like, that he wasn't just like a
Throwaway. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's good, knowing that he's not just like a one note. I mean, maybe he is one note later too, but knowing that he comes back is pretty good.
Derek keeps sing-songing drama all through the episode, and he continues to do that as time goes forward. And Penny drops amazing, which is one of her running things going forward as well.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Amazing. Is that originated on this or on the show? That amazing. Because I feel like I've heard that before. Maybe that's from like the types of reality shows that that character would watch or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And she has like a lot of little running things as time goes forward that I'll try and call out. The MVP of the episode, I said Penny and Derek, because they were the only ones who knew how to handle relationships.
Yeah. I would say, I guess Derek, even though he's super stereotypical, I liked him. He was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't like that he might have been the butt of jokes or whatever, but Derek's my MVP.
Yeah, he's very polarizing, I think, because I think a lot of people feel the way you do, that he was just like a stereotypical kind of character, and yeah. Mm-hmm. So next...
the next episode I did want to talk about, because one of the plot lines, and I know I'm jumping ahead or whatever, but is that the main character is dating a girl who like tapes their sessions and like gives him pointers. And what I thought of immediately, have you seen Peep Show?
I haven't.
You should. Oh my God. Can we do that one next?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to do Peep Show next, because there is a plot line, this isn't giving away too much, where there's a woman that has sex with both the roommates, and she gives them notes on how to perform better, and they love it. And they're like, oh yes, finally, somebody's telling me what to do. I love this. And I just thought that was such a good take on that type of concept. This one I was like less into.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Peep Show is one of my favorite shows, so maybe that's an unfair comparison, but yeah, I like the take that Peep Show took on this sort of concept of a woman giving notes. Although I guess this was more based on the fact that she's like a coach and is like doing the Madden thing of like circling little parts and doing arrows and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I'm not sure I love in television shows, which is a person's like one quality is like carried through the whole rest of their life.
Yeah.
Like you could be a good coach without coaching every second of your life.
Yeah.
I feel
my
like they
job
do that
is
with a lot of professions on TV.
Yeah, my job is extremely boring and has nothing to do with anything I do outside of work. Like, and I think that's the case for most people, honestly. Unless you are following something that's very tied to your personal identity, it's usually that your job is your job and you leave it there.
And so the episode is called Why Can't You Read Me? Jane is doing like this adult illiteracy charity thing that she's been helping run and like plan the graduation for, so that for adults who learn to read, they get to graduate and get a little diploma or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a good thing for someone as type A as Jane, though she does, the whole plot of the episode is her getting like feeling threatened by how likable and easygoing Alex is. I feel like Jane would be the great personality to run an organization like this, where you need lots of organization and planning and dedication.
Like, the organization wouldn't exist without Jane, you know? Like, you know, Alex can be charming or whatever, but it wouldn't be there without her.
I've been saying, like, up to this point, like, her type A personality has been portrayed as kind of off-putting, and I think this is an example of, like, where it would work, actually. Like,
yeah.
Where it would be helpful.
Her tenacious nature, yeah.
I will say that I do find the conflict somewhat relatable. Like, I've never had, like, a fight with someone over this, but I am kind of socially awkward and, you know, have a hard time, like, you know, in social interactions a lot of the time. And there are people who I see who just walk up and they're amazing and they can light up a room and be funny and charming and everything. And it's like, oh, why can't I do what they do?
Yeah, and that's like something you can't fix, really. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like if you're self-conscious, that never leaves you. Even if other people perceive you in a certain way, your feelings will never match that. So, like, even if somebody else would consider you to be like, oh, look, she lights up the room and, like, she's so awesome, which you are, by the way. Like, you'll never feel that way because of, like, how, I don't know, how you feel inside, you know?
Yeah, and I relate to that thing of Jane's, like, I'm doing all this hard work. I'm putting in all this work, and someone can just walk in the room and be better.
Yeah.
You know?
Which sucks.
Have you ever felt that way?
Only all the time. Only all the time. But you know what? You just gotta just be like, eventually, I don't know, you have to just decide, like, it's okay to be mediocre. That's how I've dealt with coping with my feelings of insecurity, is like, I'm not the best, but I don't have to be the best. Like, why do I even want to be the best? That's a lot of people looking at me, and I, like, don't even want that. You know what I mean? I'm like, even if I was the best, that would mean a lot more human interaction, which is totally draining to me. And I'm like, it's a good thing that I'm not as, you know, charismatic or whatever as other people, because I don't even like
you're charismatic.
You're sweet, but I don't even like people. So, like, why would I want to appeal to anyone?
I will say, like, my work has forced me to step up a bit, and so there are like interactions with like my coworkers that will leave me like obsessing and cringing, you know, the rest of the day. But if there's other people counting on me, I can just like not think of like how embarrassing it is for me to be wrong. I'll just go up and ask a question because it's like it has to get done. People are counting on me, and then I can just turn off that part of my brain for a while. But it's only like in work situations, certain work situations too.
When it's like your job, you know what I mean? Like, you can do it. Like, you can force it down. I don't know. Here's what I realized is, like, I know this is going to sound really depressing, but it was actually very liberating for me. Nobody gives a shit about me. Like, nobody cares. Everybody only cares about themselves. So, like,
that's so true.
They don't care. Like, the things that you agonize over, like, people don't even register, really. They just go, and then they go on with their day and they think about whatever is stressing them out, or like the things that they did that were stupid. And yeah, anyway, I told somebody else who was having like problems interacting in a public space, I was like, hey, nobody cares about you. And they were very upset by that. So I don't know if that's like the advice for everyone, but I feel like you understand what I mean.
Yeah, and I get that, and I think it makes a lot of sense in general. Yeah, like in the world, like no one cares about like your little like whatever you're freaking out about inside your head.
They really don't. And if you were to tell those people, which I have done in the past, where I'm like, oh, I remember this one awkward time where I did blah blah blah, and they're like, huh? What are you talking about? Like, I didn't register with me. Like, I literally had that interaction where I discussed an awkward moment with someone and they did not have any recollection. And it was the type of awkward moment that I'd be like, oh, I'd think about and like want to like bang my head against the wall or whatever.
And you know, I've been on like both sides of that, kind of. Someone made a off-color joke and I guess I made a face, but like I didn't really like I was just like trying to hide how hard I was laughing, but they had thought they really offended me and like kept trying to apologize.
I love that.
As time went on, and it's like, no, really, you're fine. Stop
you're fine. I didn't even. Yeah, it's so funny. We're all so nuts. We're all so crazy.
But then there was also a time at work where I had just started working with my boss, like just for like a couple weeks. We were alone together for like an hour, and so it was like one of those things where it's like, oh, let's make conversation. But it was like hard because it's like your boss and you don't know what to say. Mm-hmm. And I think I just made some kind of stupid remark, like sarcastic remark, just off the cuff, like I tend to do 100% of the time. It was a Friday, and then Monday morning we were at work together again, and my boss was like, I've been thinking about what you said all weekend. I've been hearing your voice in my head all weekend, and I'm like, oh dear God, what did I say? How bad was it? Oh no. And then they brought up some stupid comment that I don't even remember saying. But it was like they meant it in a good way, like, oh, you made me like reevaluate my life. But
really? And you didn't even realize, you were just like, I gotta get through this somehow, and you threw something out there. That's hilarious.
And I was just like, those things of like having to watch what you say, because it's like I was just running my mouth to fill the silence. Yeah. And it ended up, like when someone says, I've been thinking about what you said all weekend. Yeah, and it's like someone you just met and also your boss. Like,
here's the thing that happens around new people is like I'm desperately just thinking of anything I can possibly think of in that moment and just like spitting it out. And like I don't even think I mean half the shit I say. So that's really funny that like somebody took one of your like off the cuff, like whatever, fill the silence things is like super serious and life-changing.
I'll be thinking of a million things I could possibly say, and then I end up saying nothing.
Yes, because you're like, oh, which one do I choose? Nothing is fine. But here's the thing. It goes both ways. That's what I think when it's like a super awkward situation, and I'm like, oh, I can't say anything. I can't figure anything out. Well, there's silence there. Nobody's talking. Why aren't they talking? I'm going to judge them instead of judging myself from now on.
I think that's a very healthy attitude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm preaching as if I have this like down pat, and I do not. So
well, it's a journey, it's a process.
Yeah.
Okay, enough about all our
social issues. Awkwardness podcast. I like that.
But I will say, back to the show. Yeah. This storyline also demonstrates another reason why I love Brad and Jane so much. Mm-hmm. Is like basically he knows what she's up to right away, but also there's a point when they're at the graduation for literacy where Jane's kind of emceeing, and she starts telling jokes and stuff. And not only is Brad the only one who laughs, he is laughing so hard. And I found that just like so charming.
I know he's really good. Like I just love that character. That's why he's always my MVP every episode. Well, not for the last two we discussed, but he is definitely for this one because he's so supportive to his wife, you know, and he knows how like mentally he knows her insecurities, and he's just like very there for her, you know.
Mm-hmm. The other storyline, which we also started to talk about, Penny tries to be the cool boss to...
Oh, yes. The one that I thought was problematic.
And I agree, it is kind of problematic.
I mean, like, if it had just been, like, a white chick or something, I don't know. It was just, like, the fact that assistant who was horrible and was stealing money from the company also accused her boss of being a racist. I was like, it's a little too much for me. Like, my nightmare was that this Hispanic assistant was going to be, you know, going to quit, as she did in the end, and then they'd hire a nice, like, white assistant. Like, that's what was in my head. And I was like, God, I hope they don't do that. But I don't know if they do or not. I don't know who Penny's assistant is in the future. I at least didn't see it this episode. So, but I was still like, I don't know about this.
The assistant in question is Gina Rodriguez, star of Jane the Virgin.
Oh, yeah. I thought I recognized her. I haven't watched all of Jane the Virgin. I think I saw like the first couple episodes, but it seems like a very interesting show.
I love that show. It's so good.
I gotta watch it.
I think it could have been, really problematic. Because, the racism thing. And they did the same plot on Will and Grace. And they did the exact same thing with the bad assistant where she's like, oh, you're just racist.
Yeah. That's like a white nightmare or something. I mean, I know because I am white. Like, you don't want to be accused of being racist. But then I'm like, playing it for laughs is a little...
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's problematic. Yeah. And I do think being if we take this horrible element out of it, being the fun boss is a hard line to walk. And I think she screwed up from the start. When the first bad behavior starts when the secretary assistant takes
$50 out.
Yeah, she sends the assistant to do her errands, and she takes $50 out of Penny's personal bank account.
Yeah.
And then at the time, Penny's like, yo, what's this? And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll give you your money back right now. I just had to buy lunch or something. And Penny's like, oh no, it's cool. We're all cool. And I'm like, that's already crossing a line, from the jump.
Yeah, right away. If you don't set that boundary. I don't know anything about being the cool boss. I was in charge of a few people at my last job, and I did make people cry on different occasions. So I'm awful, and I'm a Slytherin, and I should never be anyone's boss. But I was very, hard line, whatever, no emotion. I'll just tell you what's wrong. And it did
You're
not go
ensuring
well.
the best work.
I guess they were incredible employees that were under me, but I do still feel bad about that. I should have taken a little bit of Penny, a little bit of me, and made it more reasonable.
I do think the fun boss is a hole you can fall into if people think they can get away with stuff.
Also, nobody's ever gonna think you're fun if you're their boss. This episode, I did like that Adam Pally was listening to Penny the whole day and creating this new reality show based on what they were listening to. I thought that was kind of funny, but other than that, is there anything else about this episode?
He and Brad go to the way the plot is resolved is he and Brad pretend to be agents of the company who catch the assistant doing bad behavior and scare her into being nice to Penny. But before they find her, they stand outside the building and just call out the name of the assistant the entire time because they have no idea what she looks like.
Oh, I did not even catch that.
I thought that was so funny. They were just standing there for who knows how long.
Yeah, they could have been out there for 6 hours.
And they had an AEIOU joke, which I found very nerdy.
You. Yeah, that was pretty good.
And this episode also dealt with sibling rivalry. Have you ever experienced it?
I don't know. I think I was the child that everyone hated, so it's fine. I think I was, if I had to say it for sure, I think I was more the Alex. So I'm probably on the bad side of this.
Nah, never.
Always.
And another funny detail of the episode was that basically at one point in the episode, Jane and Alex go onto the balcony to have a fight while the literacy group is all still there, and they all just stare and watch them fight.
I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't do that.
I just thought that was such a funny detail.
Yeah, for sure. All these middle-aged ladies there for charity are like, ooh, drama, That is pretty funny.
Quotes from the episode, someone was calling somebody white and said, you're like the ghost of Tilda Swinton.
Yes. They were saying that the main character was really pale, so he was trying to get ready for a sex tape.
Oh, that's right. It was Dave.
Ripped and tan. Yeah, Dave. God. I should remember because Day of the Dead. Now, does the steak truck ever come back? The Stake Me Home Tonight truck? Is it part of the show at all? Okay.
Yeah, quite a bit, actually.
Okay, good,
It's
good.
the center of a lot of episodes.
Awesome. Because we were introduced to it like a few episodes ago, and then I didn't see it in the next, I guess, 3 episodes? 2 episodes? And it seems like it'd be a big part of his life at this point if he just bought the truck.
Maybe setting up.
Also, they said that this 4th episode, I looked at that list that you sent me, was never aired. So I wonder what the decision was there that made them choose to never air it on television.
Maybe they found it problematic. Like you did.
That could be. They were like, this is a little much.
Which is a shame because I do love the Jane and Brad stuff.
I do too.
And there's another point where Brad and Max are both listening to the phone calls that Penny's having with her assistant because basically Penny keeps butt dialing Max by accident. Max and Brad decide to help Penny. Mm-hmm. And then after they decide that, Brad turns to Max and says, by the way, can I have your TV? You know, slavery and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that racism joke. That's funny. It makes me wonder. I don't know. I guess, well, I did watch a video right before this where it was like a Funny or Die video. It's called Happy Endings Audition, which I don't know when this was created, maybe to promote the 3rd season or something. And Damon Wayans Jr. really played heavily into like the token black guy. Like, I don't want to be the black guy, and pretended to be white for his audition. It was all a comedy video, but I was like, I wonder like how he feels about playing a token black guy and who was in the writer's room when they were writing these lines. It just makes me a little curious, but I mean, I won't judge too hard. This was a different time. It was 2011 or whatever it was. When did this come out?
Yeah, I think 2011, 2012 type time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was a funny joke. It was funny. I overthink everything, which is a problem.
I think it's good. It's progressive.
Yeah, I guess.
I like the way you think.
Good. Thank you. I like the way you think.
So I think that's it for these episodes,
Yes.
unless you had more to add.
No, I think that was it. We've actually gone a little long, but I decided I wanted to go over more episodes all at once because I find it kind of difficult to just talk about 2 episodes at a time. Because I like to kind of bounce around or whatever. But yeah, so we'll probably watch another 4 episodes in 2 weeks and get together and just keep on the lookout for more episodes. Then that is all for this episode. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye. That felt weird saying peace out like that.
Thank you for listening. Our theme song is Wouldn't It Be Nice by Sound Mirage featuring Lady Rand. Please rate and review, download, subscribe, all the things. And you can email us at amcrewatch@gmail.com. Thanks. Talk to you next week.